What's up, everybody? I'm going to do a little bit of a rig rundown. We did a new stage design for Easter, but we implemented it several weeks before Easter. That way we could, one, get it done, but also, and there's some scheduling things that just made sense for us to move it where we moved it. Yeah, anytime we do a stage design, just a little quick overview, I try to budget like 3 days. So Sunday after church is typically, we'll do a strike and we'll try to get as far as we can, hard stop at 10 p.m. And then Monday, normal day, 9 a.m. start till 5 p.m. And then Tuesday is like last 10%. So we try to be done walking away Monday, and then Tuesday we'll come in and kind of do like last 10% stuff. So it's cable management. Sometimes it's just cleaning, general cleaning, organizing, kind of putting the room back together. And then on top of that, we're doing programming. So like updating the rig and presets and all that fun stuff. So, but I wanted to do a rig rundown from back here. We might go on stage, but just to kind of, and I'm just going to ramble on as to why we made some of the decisions that we made from a design perspective, and why we like it and why we're happy with it. So let's dig in. So right now, we were just doing a little bit of maintenance on the rig, so I just have a general pattern running just to make sure everything, when we're bringing things up and down, everything is still working, and we're not accidentally hitting buttons and stuff like that. So we're going to go into what's called show mode, which is going to turn everything off. And yeah, we're going to start with the Diablos. So we've got 24 of those in the rig, and really, really happy with not only the light, like the fixture itself, but we're just really happy with the placement, the amount that we placed, the linear placement. Something you'll probably notice, because we just did maintenance, is we haven't really leveled out the truss quite yet, so they're a little cattywampus right now. But so we've got basically 3 rows. So we've got a downstage row, a mid stage, and then an upstage row. So each of those downstage each have 6 fixtures, and then the farthest upstage has 12 fixtures on it. And yeah, really, really happy with the way, with just the placement of these, and what we're able to do with them. We're able to do a lot of really great symmetrical effects, and we just can get really, as you can see, we can get really, really beamy when we want to, and it just creates a lot of really nice dynamic looks, particularly if we've got like even just down and we have a little bit of a pan going. Slow that down a little bit. So like that creates some really, really neat looks that we haven't had in a while, and as well as like really great texture. We're able to zoom them out. We can throw, they cover the stage really nice. So if we do like a mid stage down, and then we can grab our animation wheel and get something that looks really, really nice on stage. We can even zoom that in a little bit more, so we can get really great textures that just look really nice. Looks really nice on camera. Adds some really great dynamic. It's a great option. It's a good tool to have. Love where we have them placed. Next, we're going to look at our quantum washes. So these have been with the church for a while. These are certainly gotten our money's worth out of them. But we have 2 off for repair right now. So where you see there's 3 and then 2 on the upstage, we're going to be putting a third one when the 2 get back right below. And so we'll have basically 2 rows of, or excuse me, 4 rows of columns of 3. And because we used to have 3 underneath the side screens, but with just the failures and everything, we just went down to 2. And then now we're going to get them back for repair, which is very exciting. But these are great. They can get, I'm going to turn them down, but we can do like some straight crowd stuff, which is great for bit mapping. It's great for just if we need to blind the crowd. It's just really great. It looks awesome on camera. It has a huge dynamic range. Where their location is, we can have really nice down looks that lights the band and the stage really well, but then we can also get into the crowd and do some really great crowd work, but also like bit mapping and things like that. We're going to move on to the 155. These are SL, so Showline 155 zooms. Don't let the zoom fool you. It is manual zoom. You have to go up there and physically move a lens. So we have them wide open, so as wide as they'll get. And that is, again, to do exactly what it's doing, kind of create not only these bright moments, so we can have these really nice bright moments, but also we can dim them down and have some nice just glow back there. A big driver for this design was to go to the biggest 16 by 9 screen we can get. So we were able to, let me turn on the Diablos so we can actually kind of see where that screen is. So what we were, kind of the driver was to do the biggest 16 by 9 we can do, and you know, you can't just go wide, you have to go tall. And we don't have a very tall ceiling here. So from the stage deck to the low steel is about 30 feet. So to where any of my fixtures hang, we're talking like to the lens, it might be around 23 feet, somewhere around in there. Might even be 22 feet. So we have a very narrow window to work with. And on the upstage where our center screen is, we have choir that are on risers. So we had to make sure that we didn't come down so far that we were covering up the choir. And also that, you know, well, why don't you just bring the choir downstage? Well, the band is in the way, and then we can't get pastor on and off stage. His path is basically blocked. So there's a lot of variables on stage that we have to operate in, which is kind of a fun challenge. But so we got the biggest surface we could, 16 by 9 surface we could get. We actually went as high as we could possibly go with this screen, so that way basically where it's landing right now is just a little bit lower than what it was on the previous design with only 6 panels. We're at 8 panels tall right now, but that was the driver for the design, which is why we put, you know, the 155s and did some of the things that we did on the side to just kind of fill that space. And then also take advantage of bit mapping, but also we really love these nice, bright, washy looks that we can get with having not only the quantums, but also the 155s there. And then what's also nice about the quantums is that we can turn off the rings, or some of the rings, and just get to the center one. And though there's like a little bit of a discrepancy in height, you can kind of get the same general kind of look. So really happy with those. Something that we were able to do was we were able to add a bunch of 640s back to the rig. So we were pretty happy to get those back. Yeah, you can kind of see we got to level the truss out. We just did maintenance, so hadn't quite trimmed it out yet. But the downstage truss, those are all 640s. So we got 8 640s. And the upstage is 6 660s. So we wanted the 2 lines, and then to complement that, we put the the Diablos right there. Something that we had to do was actually mount the SL bars. So it's a SL bar 640, SL bar 660 are the fixtures. But something that we had to do was we actually mounted them to the top of the truss. So the Diablos are hanging down, and we actually had to tilt the SL bars out just to account for pan and everything on the Diablo. But we hung it, we put it up there, and we're like, man, this, it's looking fine, but it's kind of weird. So what we ended up doing was, and plus we had all the cords to fight, and it was kind of a pain. So what we ended up doing was on the top of the cord, on the top of the truss, we did a pipe out along the truss. We did several, and then we did a long pipe across that, and then hung off of that pipe. So we still had to angle them out because there just wasn't enough room for us to. We just didn't want to come way out. But what it did is we've got on the truss, we got truss picks with multi-hole. And so with having all of that weight on the front, the Diablos weren't enough to counterbalance. So with the truss picks and the multi-hole, you've got 1, 2, 3 holes. We picked on the front, which helped counterbalance the truss. There's still quite a bit of roll on the SL side, so it's kind of rolling. It's kind of tilting a little bit, but it's way better by picking on that front hole or that downstage hole on the truss pick. But what we love about the show lines, having those there, is they're providing. So all of these fixtures, serve a purpose. These are doing fun. We can do fun effects across them. Highlight. We can do fun effects across them, things like that, just random stuff. So it is like fun, sort of eye candy, camera candy, whatever. But it is providing the primary, like, kind of stage wash for the stage. And when we get to like some really bright, not particularly bright, but we can just sort of wash the stage, and these are a great fixture. And so the cameras are really happy with them, and they just light the stage really, really nice. Moving on to the solo Battens, which these we have had for a long, and they're so bright. They're so bright. We've had these since 2020. So we've actually had these a good long time. But I actually get quite a few questions about them of like, oh, what are those? Not necessarily from Instagram, but just from like, oh, those new, did we just buy them? Did we just get them? No, we've had them for a while. And they've always just been off camera. So they've been either above, doing kind of primarily stage wash, kind of what the SL bars are doing now, or they're doing like curtain wash. But they've never been on camera, right upstage before. So naturally, it's like, oh, did we just get those? No, we've had them. We've had them for a while, and I love them. They're great. They're a great light. They're plenty of options. They're great. They do color really nice, and it's a great light to have on the upstage. Plus, like the off, you kind of get the lens. You get some variety there, and you get some texture. When you're like off axis from the lens, which is nice, and it's just kind of a fun thing to play with. But yeah, that's sort of the rig rundown. There's plenty of other things like kind of in the rig. I have so something that gets a lot of attention is the um, solo that is the LED around our stage. So we it used to be we used to use this LED tape. It was literally just LED tape, but it was dotless, so it was like a line, right? Um, and it was just really expensive, and we budgeted to replace it because it just gets beat up. And we had two of them. We had an RGB on top, and then we had a white on the bottom, or maybe it's vice versa. But we had full color and tunable white. So, and it was expensive to maintain, and it just got beat up a lot, and it was either on or off, or you could dim it, but it was like on, pick a color, and you live with that color. So, what we did last year sometime, switched over to a company called Advitech, and I've used them before, and they put out really great products. A lot of their stuff is like outdoor LED tape, like videotape, but it's made for outdoor. Like these are IP rated. It doesn't need to be in this environment, but it's IP rated, and it's really, really good stuff. The products themselves are really great, but what I love is the control. So they have a web GUI that you can go in and you can pick exactly the type of fixture you're using, the type of protocol, the type of whatever. If it's like blue, green, red, white, whatever order your diodes are in, you can pick exactly that. I can even group them. So I think it's 300 LEDs per strip, and I'm controlling every single one of them just via ArtNet. I'm just sending ArtNet straight from the console to there. It might actually be SACN, but anyway, I'm sending a DMX network protocol directly to those drivers. They have a proprietary driver, and I just go in the web GUI and I set what I want. I set the address, and I can even, if I get into a parameter issue, I can actually group them. Instead of doing full 300, I could say let's do groups of 5 and start saving channels. But this is super nice because I can do kind of the same thing, and I can do fun. I don't know if you can actually see that, but I can do some dimmer effects around the stage. Yeah, I'm not sure you can see that, but anyway, so that's just a quick snippet of the LED tape. Yeah, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. We did there's a couple of things that we added that were just we're trying to recycle some fixtures. So we added some quantum profiles. And as you can see, if you can see those coming down, they're utility. They're not necessarily there for beams or for effects or anything, but this is our primary band and choir key light. So what this does is for our choir, we can light them differently than we are lighting the downstage worship team. And that kind of gives them a little bit of a different dimension, so the image doesn't start to look really flat. And then also primary band. So that was important to me. I want basically fixtures lighting the band and fixtures lighting the choir. We had used Diablos to do it. So when we didn't have choir, we had 4 lights on the band. And then when we did have choir, we only had 2 lights on the band, and then we took the other 2 and lit the choir. And it was fine, but you definitely saw a little bit of a light loss, and we had to zoom them in, and we had to program it a little bit differently. It wasn't hard; it was just a button that we had to update every time. But we're really, really happy with the way these are looking. Particularly on camera, but also just having the option to throw, color, whether it be saturated or whatever, if we want to put them in the background, if they're kind of in a mood, or if we want to help them match whatever the stage is doing. but also having the option for gobos. You know, we can throw a gobo on there and get some cool texture on the band, which we've done a little bit. But then also being able to throw some texture on the walls and things like that for sermon, welcome, that kind of stuff. We have 4 other lights that we're not going to be able to see because they're actually tied into the center screen power, and that's currently off. But we took 4 SL155s and we mounted it. So if the center screen is right here, we mounted them to the back. We put a pipe and we mounted the lights to the back of it, about row 7, 6, somewhere on in there. And all that is doing is just lighting the back row, so that way we can get the choir as far upstage as we can without them being like, I can't get light there. And so it adds a nice like hair light that covers the choir. Not the whole choir, just basically the back row and a half or so. And that's kind of long and short of it. So we're doing Rattle this weekend, I believe. So pulling something out of the old vault. Really excited to do Rattle. So I saw it on it, but we hadn't programmed it with this rig yet. So it was a little bit exciting getting to see what this rig can do on a song like that. So we've got some polishing up to do, but you can kind of see how we're using everything. Everything has its purpose. Everything has, has a job to do, so to speak. Has a role to do. But yeah, that's the old rig rundown. Thanks, everybody.